tumeambia police station piga yeye risasi.
I want to repeat it here. In fact, shoot and kill.
Mtu kama huyo apigwe risasi miguu, aende hospitali, akienda kotini.
And we have a team that is putting evidence together to take William Ruto to the ICC at The Hague.
Picture this. A former deputy president, once a key ally of the man in State House, now leading a charge to drag Kenya's president to the International Criminal Court. The stakes? Nothing less than the future of Kenya as a nation. In a fiery speech from Seattle, Washington on 11th July 2025, Rigathi Gachagua just ignited a political firestorm, accusing President Ruto of crimes against humanity that could land him in The Hague. This isn't just another political spat, it's a seismic moment for Kenya.
Ruto, are you happy where you are?
Mewavumilia, lakini mahali imefika. Enough is enough.
On July 11th, 2025, speaking to Kenyans in Seattle, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua dropped a bombshell that's reverberating across Kenya. He revealed he has assembled a special team to gather evidence against President William Ruto with the goal of filing a case at the International Criminal Court or ICC in The Hague. Gachagua isn't mincing words. He alleges that killings, abductions, and displacements happening right now in Kenya are crimes admissible before the ICC.
The killings that are taking place in Kenya are all crimes under the Rome Statutes and are admissible before the International Criminal Court. I want to confirm that we have put up a team that is documenting all the atrocities, all the killings, all the displacements, all the disappearances, all the abductions. And we have a team that is putting evidence together to take William Ruto to the ICC at The Hague.
This is a direct challenge to Ruto's presidency, and it's shaking the political landscape. Gachagua's accusations aren't just rhetoric, he's building a case, claiming his team is spread across Kenya, meticulously collecting evidence of what he calls gross violations of human rights. This move comes at a time when Kenya is already on edge, grappling with unrest and distrust in the government. But what's driving this bold strategy? Let's dig deeper.
Na tumeambia polisi, mtu yoyote mwenye atakaribia police station piga yeye risasi.
Mtu kama huyo apigwe risasi miguu, aende hospitali, akienda kotini.
To understand Gachagua's case, we need to rewind to the recent Saba protests on July 7th, 2025. These demonstrations, named after Kenya's historic push for democracy, turned deadly. According to the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights, over 30 people lost their lives in clashes between protesters and police in Nairobi and other counties. The KNCHR didn't hold back, accusing police of collaborating with armed gangs, some allegedly wielding machetes and spears, to suppress the protests. These weren't just spontaneous clashes. Reports suggest a coordinated effort that left Kenyans shocked and grieving. The Saba protests were fueled by anger over economic hardship, police brutality, and calls for Ruto's resignation. Videos circulating online showed chaos, protesters storming police stations, security forces firing back, and businesses torched. Gachagua points to these events as evidence of state-sponsored violence, claiming the government's response wasn't just heavy-handed but criminal. He's not alone in his outrage. Human rights groups and opposition leaders like Kalonzo Musyoka have echoed similar concerns, calling Ruto's orders to shoot protesters in the legs unconstitutional and a dangerous escalation. The latest on the list to condemn the same order is his handshake brother Raila Odinga. In a strongly worded statement, Raila Odinga said, "Any orders or instructions to the police to shoot, to kill, maim, disorient or shock citizens are wrong." He said, quote, "In a protest or any other environment that requires law enforcement, All the above orders, shoot to kill, maim, disorient or shock citizens, are wrong. As a country, we must at all times opt for the rule of law and due process and reject the temptation to give police illegitimate and deadly powers over citizens, even when the citizens are perceived to have broken the law. We are all better served as a country when we stick to the principle that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, a determination that can only be made by a competent court of law. Let's prioritize arrests and arraignment in courts over killing, maiming, or brutalizing of suspects. This preserves the dignity and respects the human rights of suspects, while at the same time confers credibility to the actions of the state. As a country, we should do everything to avoid the militarized approach to policing. Examples from around the continent show that such an approach only increases risk of violence. A militarized approach to policing endangers both the suspect and the law enforcement officers. Signed, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, EGH.
Mimi nimewavumilia lakini mahali imefika. Enough is enough.
Back to Gachagua. Gachagua also alleges that a special killer squad of 101 officers operating under the National Intelligence Service and moving in unmarked Subaru vehicles was deployed to silence dissent during the protests. These claims, echoed by lawyer Miguna, paint a chilling picture of a government allegedly using covert forces to target its own citizens. If true, these accusations could form the backbone of Gachagua's ICC case.
So, musijali.
But can they hold up in an international court? Here's where things get even more intriguing. Gachagua isn't starting from scratch. He's zeroing in on Ruto's past with the ICC, especially the 2007 post-election violence case that saw Ruto charged with crimes against humanity. The case, which involved 1,200 deaths and mass displacement, was dropped in 2016 due to insufficient evidence and alleged witness interference and disappearance. Gachagua claims it was never concluded, just put on hold. His team reportedly plans to revive it too, adding fresh allegations of atrocities under Ruto's presidency. Gachagua insists this time it will be different. The case was only suspended because witnesses had disappeared, he said in Seattle.
And you know the case against him for the 2007 post-election violence was not concluded. It was put on hold when witnesses disappeared. So his file is still open. In addition, we have formed a committee under Justin Muturi, the former Attorney General, the Committee on Restorative Justice, that again is looking at issues that when we form government, we will look into the composition of Gen Zs who have been abducted and killed and other families that have faced atrocities under this administration. So, musijali. And we are working on it. Again, we have a team of lawyers that are giving pro bono services to the agencies. Senior Counsel Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, the women rep for Kirinyaga and Jerry Maina, Ndegwa Jiro, and other lawyers have put a big team together that is giving legal services to our young people.
This strategy hinges on airtight evidence, and Gachagua's team is working overtime to document every killing, abduction, and act of violence they attribute to the current regime. But the ICC is a tough arena. Cases require meticulous proof, and political motivations can undermine credibility. Will Gachagua's evidence stand up to scrutiny?
As gangs and goons are using clubs and they're beating someone right in front of police officers. Police officers are not doing anything. In fact, as you can see, they're driving away. Now, there have been questions about the identity of these people who have been identified as goons, and who the questions are, who is arming them, and why do they have such power to beat civilians right in front of police officers? So the question is, who are these men, and why are they moving with so much command? As you can see, they're still beating.
Gachagua isn't fighting this battle alone. He's on a 2-month tour in the United States, rallying Kenyans in the diaspora to join what he calls a liberation movement. This is a battle I would like to invite you to help in, he told the crowd in Seattle. We have no other recourse to save our country other than sending Ruto home. You must play a role in the liberation of our country. His one-term agenda, a push for accountability and reform, is gaining traction among Kenyans abroad who are frustrated by the direction Kenya is taking. This call to action isn't just about the ICC. Gachagua is framing this as a broader fight to save Kenya, accusing Ruto of overseeing a collapse in governance from healthcare to infrastructure. He's tapping into growing disillusionment. He's tapping into a growing sentiment of disillusionment, especially after his own impeachment in October 2024, which many saw as politically motivated. By mobilizing the diaspora, Gachagua is building a global coalition to pressure Ruto's administration. So in a nutshell, what does this mean for Kenya? Gachagua's ICC push is a high-risk gamble. If his team delivers compelling evidence, it could shake Ruto's presidency and spark international scrutiny. But if it falters, it risks being dismissed as political revenge from a man still stinging from his ouster. Ruto, for his part, has dismissed claims of state-sponsored violence as baseless and accused his rivals of plotting to overthrow his government. The tension is palpable, and Kenya feels like a powder keg. The coming months will be critical. Will Gachagua's evidence hold up? Can he rally enough support to challenge Ruto's grip on power? And what will the ICC make of this case, given its complex history with Kenya? One thing is certain, this saga is far from over, and every Kenyan has a stake in its outcome. This isn't just a story about two politicians at odds. It's about justice, accountability, and the soul of Kenya as a nation. The Saba protests showed Kenyans the cost of unrest, lives lost, families broken, and a country living in fear. Gachagua's ICC plan raises big questions. Can Kenya's leaders be held accountable? Will the international community step in? And most importantly, what kind of future does Kenya want to be as a country? Let us know in the comments what you think about Gachagua's bold move. Newsroom, Maisha TV, Bushabi Jr.